about
Book
to talk about
represents, does he not, Basinonians? He represents in a very, very good, positive way.
We're getting to a point where, like, each one of these games, as they play out, I'm just like, better not trade Booker. Like, whoever's watching the game with me, I just turn and stare at them like, don't trade Booker. Better not do
They're
it.
like, what do you mean? I'm not trading him.
Yeah.
See the shots that I took.
Wet like I'm booked.
People will be like, I'm not even watching the game. You just have it turned on. Whatever. Don't trade Booker.
That's right.
I wrote something down on the show sheet here, Wolf, and I can only assume it's the solution to all the Suns' problems because I can't read it. So I don't know what I wrote down. But what we're going to talk about here is this is a very real thing. I mean, their season's going to end this week unless they win out and get a lot of help. So their season's going to end this week. And I was thinking about it yesterday, watching that game. Like, I don't know if it's a silver lining or what, but we're at the end of this era of Suns basketball. I think
this era right here.
Doesn't it feel like it?
It does.
There's no way you can just run it back.
It
next
feels
year.
like it should be the end of an era. But the question is this: will it be? You know, again, we were talking about this in the not so beautiful part of the program. But Basin Onions, stop and think about this logically. If Devin Booker says, I'm not going to go through another rebuild, does that mean you're going to move KD? Does that mean you're going to do that? Because to me, I think we would all say moving KD means you're going to rebuild. That's what you're going to do. You want some young players back, and you want draft capital. That's what you want back right there. So to me, that is going to be a rebuild, especially because you know they're going to try to get rid of Bradley Beal as well in that contract. So to me, okay, if Book, this is a question mark. I don't know. But if Book says, I'm not going through that again, now all of a sudden you've got a real problem. What are you going to do? You're going to rebuild if Book says no? No, you're not going to do that. So what could you do? If Book wants to play with KD again and go forward just the way that it is, what's the only thing you can do? Change coaches once again.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there, right? I go back and forth on the KD thing. I don't know how your team gets better by trading him away. Unless we've gotten to the point where he wants out. He really hasn't indicated anything one way or the other. I would say there is a scenario where you could trade him and not be in like full blown we're gonna suck for 2 years rebuild. But you have to get players back in the trade too, and I don't mean like expiring contracts or like you need. You're not going to be better next year if you trade Kevin Durant. There is no way. You're just not going to be better on. But if you're trying to reconcile the fact that you're going to miss the play-in this year when you had Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Do I think it was Kevin Durant's fault they couldn't get in the top 10? No. I mean, we're seeing when they play without him, they're missing about 35 points every night. We're seeing that.
See, I wonder if Book thinks that right there.
I don't know.
Does he blame Kevin Durant?
It
doesn't sound like Book would do that. So that's what's got my attention on this whole thing. Once again, Book has made it known he doesn't want to go through another rebuild. He doesn't want to do that.
But I think there's different kinds of rebuilds.
There's different kinds of rebuilds. There's no doubt about that. But if you're going to go ahead and you're going to trade Kevin Durant and get a whole new set of players, a whole new set of variables in, I just don't know how. This is just me. And I don't think Coach Bud should be fired because you know me. Blame the player, not the guy who's actually coaching him with his schemes. Blame them. But I don't know how. If you trade Kevin Durant and you've got this whole new set of variables you're going to bring in with draft capital and young players, you're going to let Coach Bud do it? I logically, once again, there's a lot of question marks, man. It is amazing when you think of it. The question mark that is before us into the future for the Phoenix Suns and the question mark that is there. What happened? What went wrong? What? Because something did, and it's something we can't see. It's something we're not privy to.
But do they know?
Book knows.
If they don't know what went wrong, then we're all in trouble.
Yes. but I don't believe that.
If they do, then there's probably they probably already have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do when the season ends. Now, they may not all be on the same page. The team might be like, look, we're not running this back again, so we got to trade KD. And Booker might be like, what? Like, what do you
Right.
you trading Kevin Durant away to get better? Like, or maybe they are all on the same page. Or maybe it is, sorry, coach, but, you came in here and you were supposed to take us to a title and we're much worse than we were with Frank Vogel. I don't know. I don't think it's any one thing that has caused them to get to this point. I just think there is a way where you can hit a bit of a reset, because I find it hard to believe they're all going to get to the end of the season and be like, we could be better next year. Let's run it back. I think the parties involved are going to want changes this year. Last year was disappointing, but they did still win 49 games. They were still a good team last year.
Yeah.
This year, they're not a good team.
Yeah, they're not. And yet at the same time, I keep thinking of the stat you have brought up from time to time about KD and Book when they both play. And it's not nearly as impressive as it once was, but it's still very, very much in favor of the Phoenix Suns being better when those two guys are out on the floor together, correct?
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. And
So to me, again, when you get right down to the brass tacks, what is the problem? And Book knows what the problem is. This is going to be the fascinating part about this. If Devin Booker does not want KD to be traded, if he does not want that, they're not going to trade him, right? They're not going to move KD if Book says, no, I'm not going through that again, man. I want KD here. We got to build around him. We got to do something different around him. We've got to go ahead. Oh, maybe it's bringing in a whole new set of variables, bringing in a whole new philosophy, bringing in a whole new culture, whatever it may be. KD's not the problem. This is the problem, right, Book? Again, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I do know this. Who's got the power? Devin Booker has the power on this team.
Say he doesn't want KD to be traded, though, and they trade him. Do you guys think then that Booker asks out?
See, I don't think Booker, the dude is so loyal. I don't think he's going to, I don't think you have to worry about that this summer. But, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's 0%. Like, if he's like, hey, don't trade KD, and KD's like, no, I want to stick with Book, and they trade him, then I think the bigger concern would be a year from now if they did that, and then they go out there and win 25 games.
Yeah.
And Booker's putting up 35 a night, and they're still losing.
So here's the great question right here. When Kevin Durant was going to be traded to the Golden State Warriors, did Book know? Right. See, these are questions once again. Did Book know? Because maybe James Jones and Matt Ishbia know exactly how Book might feel about that. And because of that, just don't say anything to Book about it.
That's a dangerous game.
On the other hand, you're like, why? Of course he knew. Of course he knew. He had to know. Devin, I just want you to know this. We got a deal, and we're going to move KD. Okay? Just wanted you to know. Of course he knew, right? Right?
I got to think at some point if Durant gets traded, it's going to be Durant was like, okay, go ahead and move me. You tried to move me at the deadline. Go ahead and move me. And Booker's probably like, I mean, Booker can see it coming if we can all see it coming. So I think that you're going to get a season of, and this is what I keep coming back to, if you do that, you better get players back that can help now. You're not telling Devin Booker, hey, you know what? We're going to start being good again in 4 years. Because then why would he throw away a bunch? But the other part of this, I don't think Matt Ishbia wants to wait around for 3 or 4 years to be good again. So I don't think that that's necessarily going to be like, I think Ishbia is about as impatient with it as I am. And that's more impatient than Devin Booker is.
You see how complicated this issue is.
Yeah. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker's record together since KD got here, so this includes this season, 78-47. So that's a 624 win percentage.
Oh, my goodness.
And that includes this horrible season. So that's pretty good winning percentage. I'd take that right now.
See, you're just adding. You just threw fuel onto the fire.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.